One love to the humble, one love to the humble, one love to the humble. May grace and peace be multiplied unto you. I got a video request from Micah Wilson. Michael Wilson is a great member of our community. And the request is, what's the difference between black people in the 80s and 90s compared to today, in our community? And I've been thinking about this one for a while, and it's a big difference, to be honest with you. It's a big difference between black people in the 80s and 90s and black people today. To be honest with you, it's been like a culture shift in the black community. It's been a shift in culture. It's been a shift in things that are acceptable and things that are not. It's been like a total complete shift in the way black people are today versus then. So back in the 80s and 90s, I myself was a very young kid. I was like I grew up. I was a kid during the 80s, and then I was like still a kid in the 90s, and then like close to the end of the 90s, I was a teenager at the end of the 90s. So like around, well, in mid 90s, I was in my teens, mid 90s. So it was a big difference, and I'm gonna go through a few of those differences that I have seen in my time. Now, the only thing I don't like about these things is sometimes when you try to show people that a difference and they don't. Well, put it this way, I understand that people that was born in a younger age, born if you was born in the 2000s or the late 90s, maybe 2000s and beyond, and moving forward, you might not understand these things that I'm saying because you don't know about how things shifted. For people like that, you only know what you know, and you only seen what you seen. So however it was when you came to of age, like maybe if you was born in 2000, then obviously by the time 20 you became a teenager around like 2013, 2014, 15, 16, 17, 18, you was a teenager. And so whatever the things were going on at that time, that's all you know. But for me, I know a different type of black people than the black people I see today and the way we acting today. I mean, really, it's the whole, it's everybody, but it's really some things about black people that has changed over time, and you got to be careful with the history because people change history and they rewrite history, or they make things seem as if they wasn't this way, or they make things seem as if it was more extreme than what it actually was. I know I'm being long-winded, but please follow me on this. Please stay with me. Please stay with me because this is very, it's not so cut and dry. It's certain things I have to speak on to get us so that you can understand where I'm coming from with this. Because every generation is different, but this generation is way different. We all do different things, but this generation is way different than what we were, and there's a reasoning behind that. Social media, Facebook, just the internet. Period. We did not have the internet at all. We wasn't exposed to a lot of things that these young people today are exposed to. But let me get back to the cultural thing about black people. So growing up in the 80s, black people were a different type of people. We wasn't too far off from civil rights and things like that, where we had a lot of great, what we consider today great black people doing a lot of great things. But during that era, during the civil rights movement, those people were not loved the way they are loved today. They make it seem like that everybody loved Malcolm X, everybody loved the NOI, everybody loved Martin Luther King. That was not the case. Black people did not like those people because it sounds hard to understand now because they made these people so famous. But black people didn't like them because they were changing. They were making black people become dependent versus black people being their own self, their own individual self, independent. See, black people didn't always think like we think today. You know, we all what you hear us saying today is we gotta unify. We gotta get unified. We gotta get on one accord. We never thought like that. It used to be you take care of yourself. Every black person do what they supposed to be doing and respect each other and do what's right. Not this we gotta get together. We're never gonna get together unified. It's not gonna happen. All of us are not gonna ever see eye to eye because there's different classes of black people that we don't talk about. But let me get back to this. That was the civil rights. That was before civil rights. Civil rights made black people dependent on leaders. Black people did not have leaders prior to civil rights. We led our own self. Yeah, we was community. We worked together, but we were. Oh, since you black, I'm black. Then um, that makes us the same. We knew we were different, even if we were black. We knew we were different. And it was not a big deal like we make it today. Now we battle against each other. But anyway, moving on up to the 70s. The 70s were a good time for black people, just coming out of civil rights. We were doing a lot of things, but we had lost all our businesses. We had lost everything we owned because of civil rights. What people don't realize is black people had everything white people had back then. They had it. We had all the same things. We had movie theaters. We had bus companies, taxi companies, grocery stores. We had the same things they had. But when the civil rights happened and they opened the floodgates and said that black people can go anywhere, you know how we are. You know how we are. We ran straight over there and our stuff went downhill and we lost everything. I mean, we even had banks and things like that too. I think here in North Carolina, we still got one of the oldest banks, black-owned banks from that time still that exists to this day. But anyway, so you come to the 80s. Black people were a respectable people, and we got along with everybody. White people and black people got along during that time. Do not be fooled at all. Do not be fooled. It wasn't like they tried to make you believe. We got along better then than we do today. Today is worse than it was then. And some of you ain't gonna believe that because you've been conditioned to believe something totally different. It was way better then than it is today. Black people were better people then than they are today. Black people would not do certain things that they do today because of who we were and how we respected ourselves. We had respect for ourselves. It wasn't like today. You would not catch a black person going into a restaurant, jumping on top of the counter, throwing food, fighting, and acting out of character. We did not do those type of things. That wasn't us. You could automatically know who did what just by the crime that was committed. You knew what it was, and we wasn't the ones. It was not us. We was not doing that crazy stuff that we do today. And there were certain drugs that black people would not take, believe it or not. Even though you heard about the crack era, yeah, I was there in the crack era. I seen it all. It was bad. It was all over the United States. It wasn't just in big cities. Crack was everywhere in the black community back then. I was old enough to see it. But what I'm trying to explain to you, the majority of black people were not smoking crack. It wasn't. And the majority of black people would not do crazy drugs. Pill popping and all that crazy stuff, that wasn't us. We wasn't doing that. Now, we were smoking some weed. We always been the weed smokers. But all that other stuff we wasn't doing. We wasn't popping pills. We wasn't doing all that was white people thing. That wasn't black people thing. And black people were going to church. I know today people don't like to talk about church and people think church is a bad thing. People don't believe in God. Well, black people don't believe in God. Black people don't believe in church. Okay, I know why that is that way. But the point I'm making is we were solid. Back then, black people did not have all these it was shameful to have a baby outside of wedlock. It was shameful. But see, what happened is that liberation movement, feminism was going on back then too. But it still hadn't took hold like it was today because black people were too prideful and too strong. We wasn't going for it. So we kept our families intact. for the most part. Yes, the crack epidemic did do a number on us, but we were still holding on strong, and we still respected ourselves even through all of that. And it wasn't like a badge of honor to have a baby out of wedlock. It wasn't this. We wasn't so proud to say baby mama, baby daddy back then. It was derogatory. It wasn't like today where we make it sound cool. Back then, if you was called that back then, it was shameful to be called a baby daddy and a baby mama and not a husband or a wife. It wasn't like today. See, we made it now. We'd have made it cool. Black people made that baby mama, baby daddy stuff cool. On us and us only. But at that time, that wasn't the thing. We were too prideful. We respected ourselves. We carried ourselves in a certain way. We wanted to be seen in a certain kind of way. Not like we don't care how we are seen today. Back in those days, when you went out somewhere, you dressed up. You looked nice. Girls got their hair done, not wearing bonnets. You couldn't go out. Your grandma, your mama would not let you go out their house with a bonnet on. It wasn't going to happen. If you was black, you was going out your house with your hair done. Somebody was going to do your hair. It wasn't no such thing as being lazy and putting a bonnet on or throwing a wig on. That wasn't the thing. Those long fingernails, it wasn't a thing. I'm not saying they didn't go get their nails done, but that wasn't a thing. Natural hair was a thing. All this stuff we doing today, that wasn't us. The men were very different back then. I remember the men that I grew up around. They were different type of men. They didn't look. You could tell. You could distinguish the older men from the younger men. It wasn't a. It didn't look the same. Same thing with the women. You could distinguish the grandmothers from the mothers, from the daughters. But that's no longer the thing. Today, everybody looking the same. Everybody want to be 20 years old again. Well, your time is up. But that was the 80s. We were still holding on strong. The 90s come around. We still was pretty much doing the same things that we were doing in the 80s. We always been about fashion. We always been about dancing. We always been about music. We always been about that. But what we worried about was this twerking in public and just this total disrespect. Shame ourselves. We wasn't doing that in the 80s and 90s. Black people did have some respect about themselves and just certain things they wasn't gonna do. Women back then didn't even want you to see they bra and panties on the clothesline. They wouldn't even hang that up out in the public for you to see it on the clothesline, let alone just wearing bra and panties out in the streets like we do today, because it's some type of liberation. It's not a liberation. Not at all. But that's what they convinced us to do. Now you look at our women, they twerking everywhere. They showing body parts all over, all online. I get it. Women love attention. I mean, that's always been the case. It always will be. But the way that they go about it today is very low class. Men wearing their pants down below their butts. Back in the day, we wore baggy pants, but we didn't go to buy too small pants and pull them down below our butts. We wasn't doing that back then. And I know at least in my household, my dad was not gonna let me walk in the house looking like that. It wasn't gonna happen. If I was gonna do that, I better did it out of his sight. Back then, you couldn't come in the house dressed like that. And I know people used to eat so bad that what people used to do was, if you wanted to wear a certain thing to school, you knew you couldn't leave home with it on. You had to change into it when you got away from your house, and then before you came home, you had to change back out of that, put back on what you wore out the house. I'm not saying that was right, but that's how it was in most households. You was not gonna walk out the house looking crazy. Your parents wasn't gonna have it. And some people did that sneaky stuff, but most of us, we just knew that we couldn't do that. We wasn't gonna go through all that dumb trouble to do something like that. We just knew better. We knew we wasn't gonna do it. But some people got caught doing that. Because everything you do in the dark will come to the light. Right? You know that's gonna happen. Eventually you will get caught. And when they got caught, they had to pay the price. Like today, if you get whooped today, like they whooped you back then, it's gonna be somebody gonna call CPS. Children were under control back then versus today. It wasn't no gentle parenting. You did what you was told to do, and you didn't ask no questions. And if you did ask a question, you better have a good question that you about to ask, or a good reason why you can't do what you're being told to do. And some people don't like that. But you can have that where you have your child in some type of control, or you can do it the way they do it today and you have no control. And then your kids start throwing rocks at your windshield because you can't control them. And ain't no father around to do nothing about it. That was the 90s. We still was doing pretty good in the 90s. We still had respect for ourselves, and we still was not out of control yet. We jump into the 2000s, things started slowly changing. Around about, I think I would say to me, around about 8, 9, 10, we was a whole different race of people by then. Now we just social media has conditioned us to be victims, complete victims of things we do wrong, but it's not our fault. Now we are victims. Now we don't care how we look. Now we dress any kind of way when we leave out of the house. Now we have no self-respect. Now everybody owe us something. Now we don't want to work for anything, but we got our hands off for everything. Now we want to blame everything on everybody else, but we ain't ashamed of anything. We do not care anymore. The music reflects, the lifestyle we live reflects, everything reflects it. We get on social media and we pretend that we're something that we're not. We got the whole world believing in some BS, that we're somehow victims. Nobody here today that's living on this planet that's black is a victim of anything but their own self. And I stand on that. I'm not changing my mind on that. We're not the same today as we were. We are weaker today. Black people can't handle nothing today. You put out any pressure, they feel like they're a victim. You say anything to them, they get defensive. You can't correct them. You can't hold them accountable. You can't say nothing at all. It's always going to be somebody or some group coming to jump in. We got all these organizations and all these groups out here, yet the community is still screwed up in the worst way more than ever before. You can't go back in time and find no time in history that black people were as screwed up as they are today. And if you can, you go show me the stats you found. You go show me the information you found. Go show me something and bring it back and show me how we doing better today than we was doing at any other time in history. You're not going to find it anywhere. We've completely lost our minds today. I'm talking about completely lost our minds. 2025, somebody said we was evolving. No, we not. We devolving. We going in reverse. We doing worse than any black people before us was doing. We doing way worse. Somebody gonna come up here and try to give me some stuff about some stuff that happened way back in the 50s and 40s. It ain't no time that we was doing as bad as we doing today. Not one. You ain't gonna find it nowhere. If you do, I want to see it because I done done my research. We are pitiful today. You think you doing good because you got cars in your yard and you living in a house and you got a job? That's what you consider doing good? Look at our character. Look at the way we do each other. Look at the way we do other people. Look at how we talk. Look at how we act. Look at how we are in the public. We always putting on a show, and not a good one. These days, we might as well not even wear any clothes because the men got their whole backside out, and the women ain't wearing no clothes at all. We're doing the most degrading things to each other all the time. And we degrade our own self all the time. That's what we do today. Every time you turn a video on, there's going to be a woman that is somehow showing her body in a way She's gonna be looking, put her backside to the camera or position the camera in some kind of way to show herself off. And there's gonna be somebody, some man somewhere that's gonna jump up there and validate that. That's why they keep doing it. Because men are weak. Black men have become weak today. Black men today are weaker than any other black men in history. Weak. Can't control themselves, enticed by all these women, and is keeping the nonsense going instead of leading the women. Meaning standing up, all men as a whole, and put a stop to this. But you can't control yourself sexually, so you can't stand up and do nothing. You can't correct it because you are part of it. What you expect? If you ain't gonna lead them, then they're gonna lead themselves. And women left in control to lead themselves will lead themselves to destruction. If you don't get up front and lead them, stop encouraging them to do this nonsense. They're gonna keep twerking. They're gonna keep getting on the internet. They're gonna keep going on OF. They're gonna keep doing all that until we stop participating in it. Stop egging it on. Stop validating it. Stop buying it. That's the difference between now and back then. We ain't strong no more. We scared to tell a woman something. You know why? Because most black men been raised by black women alone. So when they see black women, they see their mama, and they scared to say something to her, scared to correct her. And then another reason why they're scared to correct her, because they scared they can't say that to her because they're trying to sleep with her, thinking they babying her up is gonna make it easier. No, what you're doing is you creating a monster instead of telling them what the deal is, correcting their bad behavior. But you ain't gonna do it because you're too busy trying to get between their legs. That's what the problem is. Those are the differences that I see from now to back in the day to now. We're no longer a respectable people. We no longer hold ourselves accountable. We no longer take pride in who we are. We just don't care no more. And the difference in 80s and 90s to 2000s to up until today is that back then we actually cared about who we were. Now we don't. It's a free for all. We dibbling dabbling in a whole lot of things that we never would have touched before. We adopted a culture in our community that we never had before. And it shows. We don't do anything. We don't have no foundation. We don't have anything. We just out here floating around through life, hoping it gets better by chance. And it's not. Thank y'all for watching this video. Y'all take care.